Hey, everybody, and we are back with another episode of Boss Your Business, where we build businesses that support our lifestyle. And today I'm being joined by a fellow vetted consultant over at ClickUp. We might mention ClickUp once in a while today, I have a feeling. But we're going to be talking
Maybe.
about maybe, just maybe, a little bit. We're nuts on ClickUp. You know ClickUp is going to be talked about. Um, Today, Jena Paulo is joining me, and Jena helps entrepreneurs, agency owners, and large scale companies create scalable systems and processes that enable them to grow their businesses sustainably using ClickUp as their operational base. Now, ClickUp is going to be a core piece of all of that, but Jena, let's start in the beginning. What actually got you here? So you are a ClickUp consultant. You help people in a group program as well as in one-on-one settings to run their business like you from the couch or chair, as we have seen on your Instagram, as well as being able to take care of your son when he is sick at home. So how did you get here? I know you didn't start like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually come from a background in educational operations and worked in educational operations for over 12 years. And when I was there, quick, over time, got burnt out and really looking for something new and exciting and something that I could do from home, right? Because I said I have a son, and you might even actually be hearing him in the background right now. um, but yeah, I was looking for something that I could do from home and really mesh my skills as someone coming from this operations background into something that I could do at home, right? And work with a lot of different people and still have community and all of those things. So kind of what sparked the journey was my son and all of that. So I gently came into the online space, right, and sort of eased my way in, doing some more administrative things, and then I quickly, started working with entrepreneurs who really were lacking systems and organization and all of those things, right? And so, I was searching for ways um, that I could help them and help them really become super organized and scale their business and all of those things. So, of course, I needed a project management tool to help me do that, right? So, I I tried them all, right? Trello, Asana, Monday, Basecamp, all of them, and finally landed in ClickUp and was like, okay, that's it, never leaving. And that's where my business is born, basically.
So yeah, so kind of like follow the yellow brick road. It seems like a lot of us are experiencing business like that, which I love because I have so many people in my audience that are like, oh my God, how do I figure out what I want to do? Who do I work with? Where do I take this? Um, just do. You literally just do. Yeah, you can play around with a couple of ideas of what are you good at? What's that personality type that you want to work with? But you are not going to get any feedback, figure it out, or get any quote data on what's right for you if you don't do it and just play around with it.
A thousand
And
percent.
with that, I'm curious, Jenna, because I know you do builds for clients. So you are building ClickUp out for other people, but you are also doing your group coaching, consulting, training program. How did you get to that level of support of your clients? How did you find your way into those two offers?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you mentioned, I kind of started with the build outs, right? So going in and really doing customized build outs from scratch, right? Either scratch or they've already created something in ClickUp and it needs like a total refresh or something like that, right? And so as I'm navigating that offer, and that offer of course has changed over the years, right? And how I deliver it, and all of that. But you know, by 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 doing that, by doing all of these builds, I'm really, every time I'm increasing my skill, right? I'm learning new
Mhm.
things. I'm working with different types of businesses, anything from any type of business, from digital marketing agencies to car dealerships to e-commerce stores to all of these different types of businesses. And what's so interesting about that is, although they're totally different, the back end of their business is totally different from one another, it can fit mesh into a tool and it can be customized, right? So that it can support their business. And so as I'm doing this and doing all of these customized build outs, there's such a need, even after I've done these build outs, for people
Mhm.
to truly understand the inner workings of, right? Yeah, I could build for you all day long. I could talk to you about ClickUp until you're blue in the face, but until you actually know how it works, and you start playing around with it, it's not going to be it's not going to work as well as you want it to work, right? Because you have to have that understanding. So that's kind of where this group program was born, where and the program first started as a completely live training program, and has now morphed more of a, kind of two things, into recorded trainings and live. But there was such a need for people to really understand the inner workings of the tool, so that's kind of where it stemmed from.
And I love how you brought up that the group program started as live. That's often a path a lot of us group program people are going, because simply it's you can't add to your time, you just can add to the amount of people you can take care of, which means one-on-one is limited to a specific point. And then we all know, often enough, learning in a group setting is easier because people don't know what they don't know. Now,
Mhm.
if somebody in the group in a Q&A call or in an office hour comes in and is like, hey, how do I make this happen, or I'm running into this issue, somebody else in the group might be, ooh, nice idea, I like where this is going. So the group aspect in all of this has a high advantage to everybody joining. But also it allows you to be able to serve more people. So hearing how you have evolved from a quote live to a semi-live setup, simply because I know how you run your group program just a little bit, because I've been stalking your Instagram, is great to hear for the audience, I think, because it is a natural growth stage of going from just one-on-one to being able to scale your own business.
Yeah.
Now, that comes a lot with managing a lot of people. You suddenly went from potentially, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 one-on-one clients to potentially hundreds. I'm like, when you scale this thing, it's there is no open end. So how do you manage your client experience, your client communication? How do you stay on track but also keep your clients and your group on task?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a dance, right? Because, there's a lot of back end technical pieces that have to happen in order for things to run smoothly, for the client experience to run smoothly and all of that, right? So it really starts before I even get anyone inside of the program, right? A lot of it comes down to ensuring that I've got automation set up. When someone, let's just use this as an example, when someone signs up, right, they go through Thrivecart to pay, right, but I also need them to sign a contract, so then I have a Zap that allows them to sign a contract in Dubsado, right? And many different pieces to it, but the technical aspects are really what ensure that the client experience is smooth and people are happy, right? Because when someone purchases a program, if the experience at the very beginning, from that first touch point, isn't seamless, you've lost them, right? So you have to ensure that all of the technical pieces are set up on the back end to ensure that it's a smooth process, right? And then once they're in the program, your program speaks for itself, right? So you've ensured that your program is up to the standard that you have said that you're delivering to them. Even over deliver, right? That's what we should be doing, is really over delivering inside of the program. But yes, the technical piece in the back end is like where it's at.
And it's interesting that you brought that up, because as of late, I work with a lot of 1099 team members for my YouTube channel, for writing stuff, the whole supporting me in my content creation and all of the things. And
Yeah.
it was interesting working with a new team member, and he sent me a PDF invoice, and I'm like, huh,
Wait, no.
whatever, huh.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Gosh.
I'm at an age, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna add Zelle to the next how to pay you.
Yeah.
Again, I like him. It's fine. He is starting out in his journey of being an entrepreneur and making things easy, but it comes back to the point of, it's our job to make that experience, that client experience, seamless and easy. And
Mhm.
in a year like 2022, it is so easy nowadays to send out an invoice that has a pay button on it, or to have another way of easily being able to just make it seamless for your client, and
Yeah,
skip the 5 emails of, I'm not going to sign up for Zella. How can I pay you?
definitely.
Where
And it makes it an easy yes for the client, right? If they're able to pay and be able to just put in their card information, it's such an easy yes for them.
And I think this is a big piece of where we are in general right now. Of We do have the technology. When you are starting out a business and you might not have the technology knowledge,
Yeah.
know that the technology is out there to make your life easy. Now,
Yeah.
your job as the business owner is search or find people that are teaching it. There's enough people out there that are teaching the basics of starting a business, and the tools that are out there for you to learn how to make it easy. But you are, um, it's your job to say, hey, I need to put a little bit of work in to be able to really make that client experience seamless and enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I work with my clients on all the time when we're building out ClickUp workspaces, or even in my group program where I'm teaching you how to manage client experience inside of the tool. This is something we talk about all the time. How can we make this tool or these tools work for us and make it a seamless experience? How to talk to each user experience on the other side, like internal might look great, but let's test it and see how it looks on the other end, on the user side, right, on the client side. So those are definitely important things that we should not overlook.
Love the human aspect of all of that. I think with a lot of push out there of automating and hands off things, the human aspect has gotten a little bit lost.
Mhm.
Happy to see it coming back. With you and how you run your business, what are some of the processes and workflows that allow you to be like, hey Evie, I got my son home today because he is sick, but I still need to take care of clients too? And what are those common workflows and processes that have allowed you to run your business like you do?
Yeah, it's been a journey, right? Figuring out what that looks like for me and
Mhm.
my right? And you can think of all of the different situations in the world, but you're never going to all like, oh, what if this happens, right? So, one that comes to mind, especially when, I'm talking with a potential client who's a new lead maybe in my pipeline. I have workflows in place that I need to follow up with these people without actually having to to do it, right? I do it myself. So, I have that conversation with them. We hop on a call, we talk about, what service they need and all of that sort of stuff. I send a proposal over through, I use Dubsado for this.
Mhm.
And the workflows that I've developed in Dubsado take care of the rest for me, right? So it does my follow up for me. If they accept the proposal, it automatically is going to send them the invoice and the contract and the questionnaire and all of those different welcome emails and things like that, right? So I don't have to touch it after I send that proposal. So that makes my life so much better and so much more stress free, right? Because there was a time that I was doing those manually, and do you know how much time that takes? That takes so
Uh-huh.
much.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's really nice to be able to automate those things.
Yeah, fellow Dubsado fan over here too, where I'm like, it has made life much easier on the side of when working with one-on-one clients. And just being able to set those automations while still have that human aspect, that personality with it. I'm like, I always joke, when I work with one-on-one clients, I'm like, "You're gonna get a questionnaire, and it's gonna be a long one, but I'll send you a coffee with it." So, the
Yeah,
bringing some personality into those automations and just having fun with it.
absolutely. You don't want to sound like a robot, right? You want it to be friendly. You want it to be very uh like brand centered, right? You don't want to sound like you're a robot. So I think that the personal touch is really important.
And with that, we already talked we know ClickUp. We also know that you're using Dubsado kind of like just like me. It's like, I feel
Yeah.
like we have the same tech stack. What are some of the other tools that you use to make your life easier and your client experience better?
Yeah. So another tool I use is actually Voxer. So Voxer is like a walkie-talkie kind of app, right? So I use this both with clients and with my team members, right? So although we're using ClickUp for task communication and all of those sort of things, there might be other things that warrant maybe longer conversations, voice notes, kind of back and forth, riffing back and forth, or something that maybe needs like a really quick response, right? So that's kind of where Voxer comes in. And I've been using it since basically the inception of my business. And I love that human element to it as well, where I can talk to you, right? Something that I use when I do my build outs. Because when I am building your ClickUp workspace for a day, I do not expect you to be on Zoom with me for 7, 8 hours, right? Like that would never be the expectation. So instead, we're using Voxer to communicate throughout the day when I need a quick question answered, or if I need to strategize with you a little bit throughout the day. So that tool has been huge in my business in
Which
conjunction with the others.
which is interesting you mentioned Voxer. We've been internally starting to test Volley because
Okay.
we know me, I got the German accent and I like to see people once in a while. So we've been starting to test Volley, which is similar to Voxer with asynchronous video messaging, audio messaging, as well as the text messaging, which also gets transcribed. So
Yeah.
even if somebody sends me a little video or voice message, you have the transcription, which you have in Voxer too. One of my big points was this whole, I can literally just send a quick little video message
Mhm.
and the threading capability in it. So it's fun to hear that you are already in something like that too, where Voxer, easy communication, easy just jumping in. You don't have to
Yeah.
deal with an email or you don't have to deal with Slack. Where
I
it's
try
like,
to email at all costs. I hate being an email.
the nice thing is the ClickUp integration of turning a email into a task, which is nice at some point. So ClickUp, can we get this in other messaging softwares too or something?
Please.
Um, but yeah, it's like email is like the hell of stuff just getting buried deep in.
That's
Yeah.
where things go to die.
Oh yeah.
My
Email is
inbox.
where things go. Yeah. And then I know you use Thrivecart, you use Dubsado, you obviously use ClickUp.
Yep.
I'm curious, and this is a complete egotistical question for me because I'm playing with this idea.
Yeah.
Um, do you do so with your group training? I know you
Mhm.
have, I don't even know how many videos in there or anything. Do
Yeah.
you also have some kind of support accountability potentially for your students in ClickUp?
Yeah, so a piece of the program is we get live Q&A sessions and coaching sessions during the program. And I utilize ClickUp forms for them to submit those questions, videos, images, things like that, so they can get support and submit those things that way. And then, yeah, so that would be like the ClickUp element of it. There's another piece that inside of the portal where the training lives, where they have the ability to comment, add comments and things like that, and I can provide support within that as well, where everyone can see it and all of that good stuff. But the ClickUp element is the form that they get to fill out, and then I go through those submissions and all of that live inside of the live training.
Yeah, which makes it really, really simple. And I pretty much guess that you have something like that.
Yeah,
Because it makes it really easy to jump into an office call. Having the questions ready, it's pretty much the setup that I've been talking about too, that you can also use just for client ticket management, where it's like, hey, I need this fixed. Hey, this needs to change. And you have an
yeah.
easy checklist, rolling list to go
Mhm.
off of rather than like, so what did you want to talk about today?
Exactly. And this was something I was talking on my Instagram stories about yesterday. When I do my build outs, I have a list inside of ClickUp where my client is adding any changes or revisements or questions or anything like that. The goal with that is to first and foremost to get them used to working inside of the tool with someone else, communicating and doing all of that. But the second piece of that is, I guess, to keep me sane because I don't want a million emails, right? So all of those things are going to go into ClickUp, and and then we take care of them, right? It makes it really easy to take care of those things.
It's interesting you mentioned the sanity piece of it. I made a mistake in a one-on-one client that I'm working with. Part of adjusting their process and workflow is also that team communication, that simplicity, because everything for them is happening in Slack right now.
Yeah,
And I started getting them out of it and getting them into the habit of task communication happening in ClickUp. But last week, I caught myself getting into the same habit of
mhm,
having those communications and having those, you need to do this in Slack. And
yeah,
like, we had our call on Tuesday, and I'm like, I'm guilty of it. I followed your lead rather than being the consultant. We need to pull this back again because Slack is just as much a black hole of tasks as emails
it
is,
is. Yep,
where it's like,
it really is.
and it doesn't really matter which tool everybody chooses to make it happen, but you need one simple single source of truth. And that usually is your task management tool.
I mean, you're speaking my language. That's exactly what I tell my clients, right? I mean, so many of my clients are utilizing Slack, and I would say out of all of the other tools that, my clients use, it's the hardest to pull people out of Slack. It's the hardest to do, right? But you're right. It's a black hole, and streamlining that communication inside of a tool like ClickUp makes life so much easier.
And especially for the long haul, I'm like, when
Yeah,
in your example of working with a one-on-one client and a build out, you have your list of, hey, we want to fix this, hey, we want to optimize that, hey, we want to streamline that, hey, you have the list. But then you also have the wish list items and the communication that happens in that specific task,
yeah,
where you can go back, you can chunk down on that specific issue, and you can go back into the comment history of what have they tried before, what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them.
yeah.
And even if you bring in your new team member, you now can build up on that communication for specific SOPs or for guidelines or anything. It's
Mhm.
just so much easier.
It's so much easier, right? And, yeah, you've got the communication back and forth between you and the team members, but then there's also kind of that unspoken communication that ClickUp is doing, right, with ClickBot inside of that section as well. So you can see the history from the inception of Task Card, right?
Yep.
So that just makes a huge difference, which Slack cannot give you.
No, yeah, there's a reason why it's a black hole. I'm like, it's a nice water cooler conversation. It's a nice brainstorming that can happen over in Slack, but everything else just needs to happen in ClickUp. Yeah, it's just. But there comes the human aspect again. It's like guilty here, where I suddenly joined the habit of and their strategies of how they're doing things right now, and I'm jumping into Slack. It's a continuous just adjusting your habits and strategies.
Yeah,
It's an ongoing
100%.
effort.
It is, yeah. Oh, I mean, over the course of your business, you're always evolving. You're always, changing processes and optimizing things, right? So it's going to always be something continually you're working on.
And I think that is a perfect end to our live show today, because we started with follow the yellow brick road, do the thing, get the data, adjust, and then pivot. Just the world and the data is going to tell you what you need to do. I am so happy you got to join me. Guys, as always, in the show description, go follow Jena. And she has the funniest, but also the most educational Instagram reel. So make sure you
Thank
check
you.
her out over there. It's like every time she posts a new reel, I'm like, okay, what is she doing this time?
Thank
She
you. And thank you so much for having me.
she even goes as ClickUp for Halloween. So go follow her over
True.
there. We have all of Jenna's links right in the description. Go stalk her. I've been stalking her long enough. Thanks so much for joining me, Jena.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.